So recently I've been taking my newsletter application and I wanted to apply a monorepo approach to this project. Now I don't really have a good reason as to why, other than I wanted to pull out different packages and have my business logic live in a separate folder and not have it live directly in my next API. And then I went down a path of starting to pull everything apart. I removed TRPC because I couldn't get it importing from another package. So I went back to normal REST because I'm a TypeScript noob and I didn't want to spend a bunch of hours trying to figure out why my types were not importing from my app router in TRPC. But that's kind of unrelated to this video. So I wanted to walk you through, how do Yarn workspaces work and why would you potentially want to use one? And I'll also walk you through some of the stuff that I did to get this project kind of set up in a nicer way, in my opinion. So starting off, to set up a Yarn workspace in your package JSON, you basically need to put a workspaces property here, and you need to define what packages that your multiple workspaces are composed of. So in our case, I have a business package, a UI package, an end-to-end package, and an API package. And I might add more in the future, but the idea is every package is basically kind of self-contained. And if I wanted to pull this out into a separate repo, I could do that. But for right now, it's living in the same repo, and it has its own package JSON, which describes what are the bare minimum things needed to get this business package piled, tested, or whatever. But one thing that's important to point out is that at the very top of each package JSON, I have a name, and you have to specify the name of the package that you want to use. So in our case, I'm doing WDC newsletter slash business, because this is the business package. And now if you go over here and look at the same package JSON, this is API. All right, and so every package has its own special name. And we can actually import other packages from different workspaces. So for example, in my API, I have a need to pull in my business logic, my business use cases. So if I were to look at API and go to the package JSON, you'll see down here as a dependency, I manually added this, but this is basically saying this package depends on WDC newsletter slash business. So when I do an npm install here, it basically creates a symbolic link under the hood, I believe. And then anywhere in my code where I need to access this business logic, I can do that. So let me walk you through how I'm accessing the business logic. So inside of app.ts, this is an Express application. And if you look here at the top on line 3, we're importing the use cases from that package. So again, this package is actually local. It's just in a different directory. And due to how Yarn / npm workspaces work, I can reference whatever this package outputs. So to even dive further into this, how did I make this business package export some special things, right? How does it know that this thing has subscribe use case and unsubscribe use case? Well, let's go to the business package and let's look at the package JSON. And if you look here, there's a main declaration or a main property that says which file is basically the file that commands all my exports. Okay. Let's go here, and I'm going to look at this index file that is defined here for this package. And if we look at it, notice that I'm basically just exporting all of the use cases, the persistence methods, and the notification methods, and the configuration from all of these directories. And if you start diving down into these directories, again, those have index files which are exporting some of these use cases. I got a couple of TypeScript errors in here I need to fix, but I don't think they caused it to break. So that's kind of how you set up the packages, and you can use them in between your different things. And again, when you're building a more maintainable, larger scale project, there's some things that you need to worry about, such as decoupling pieces of your application, right? Now, the reason I did this is because in my UI folder, I have a next application set up. Now, this next application, I didn't want it coupled to the API, right? I decided I just want the API deployed as a separate thing. I'm going to deploy it to Amazon serverless myself using Lambdas. And I didn't want this bundled with Next, right? Next, I just want to be able to compile all the files and host them in a CDN, and that's it. So, and I could achieve that without using workspaces, and I did achieve that without using workspaces. I basically just don't have anything in the public pages API directory. Right? There's no backend code here. This is all front end, and this is all server, a static site generated basically that I'm going to deploy to a CDN and use. So why did I do this? Well, there's other things here that need to run my business logic, right? I have a scripts directory, which I'm using to basically send out all the emails that are in my newsletter. And if you look at this file, when I try to run a script to basically send out all the emails, it's actually using a use case that's in the business logic, right? This is the same use case that's in the business logic. Now, I didn't refactor this. This is actually broken. So what I would actually do is I need to go and make sure that I import this. And I'll kind of walk you through kind of like what I'm talking about. If I go to the scripts page and go to the package.json, and then I add that as a dependency. Okay, so the original point I was trying to make is like I can import the packages from the other packages, right? The other workspaces. So I'm going to go ahead and go to another file that has an issue. And notice here I'm trying to import this use case again from this package. So if I just go ahead and put the business package, that goes away. I get the TypeScript safety and I can use that. So the last thing I want to do is I want to show you like how do you actually use the workspaces from your top directory. So if I make sure I'm in my top level directory here, I can say yarn workspace, and then I'm going to type in the name of the package, like at WC newsletter, and then I can do slash API, I can do slash UI, I could do slash scripts, I could do slash whatever else I have in end-to-end business. So in this case, I could just say like API, and then I can do the command that I want to run that exists in this workspace. So if I look at this, I have a script for dev, deploy, and create domain. Let's just try to host the API from my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and put dev here, and that will host my API from that directory and kind of get that all taken care of. So pretty cool. And again, you can like in the top level package.json, you could potentially add your own scripts that use the workspaces and kind of run those commands in different directories if you want to. I haven't done that yet. I'm just kind of running them manually. So just to emphasize one more time why I'm doing this, I wanted my business logic to be in its own little package with its own set of tests, its own way of compile and building. And different places in the application can include that, right? So my scripts are including it and using the exact same code that my business logic defined. My API is including that and using the exact same code. And if there's ever another place that I need to build, I don't know, like an Electron app or some type of other app or another UI, I can start pulling in that shared business logic, and I don't have to worry about copying and pasting code everywhere. It's just like a module. I can pull it in and use it. And you can do the same thing with, like, let's say you want to make a shared React component. You can make a common our components folder here, and you can start defining some React components that you can pull into different UI. So for example, I could use Next, I could use Astro, I could use Vue or something, and all those could pull in a common components folder if for some reason I needed to do that. So that's kind of my overview of the Yarn workspaces that I have set up in this project. It's a lot easier said than done. I did run into a lot of snags with how it like pretty much pulls up all the node modules into your top level directory. I didn't really talk about that, but Yarn workspaces is trying to reduce the amount of disk space that your project might need, because all these packages, they might all be using Jest, they might all be using TypeScript, and you don't want to reinstall all of those packages every single time into all these subdirectories, right? So if you look at the node modules here, there's just super JSON here, right? Although the package JSON probably talks about having Zod, Express, cores, etc., there's no packages in this directory because they're all actually pulled up to the root level and put here to try to save space. And that's kind of another benefit of Yarn workspaces, is that you can have a big project with a bunch of different modules, and if they have any type of overlap, the modules are going to be pulled out to a shared space to reduce your disk space. So that's kind of the overview. If you guys enjoyed watching this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, press the bell icon. And like always, I have a Discord channel that you're welcome to join if you want to talk to me directly or just find a place to get help. And I also have a newsletter that I'm going to try to publish some tips and tricks in the future about React and web development. So be sure to click the description and find that link. Subscribe to my newsletter, which is basically built using the same code that I've been sharing in my videos. Have a good day and happy coding.